Good morning, everyone. Okay, so today we are going to go through everything that we need to do for English this week. So I'm going to go through, broken it into each day, so you can refer back to this video for questions on what you need to do. Monday. So your task for yesterday was to look at your narrative writing. I had this narrative writing piece of paper that told you to watch the video in Class Dojo about the feature of a comic strip. We actually did this last week in class, so there wasn't a video in Class Dojo. And then after watching that, or using what we looked at is used in comic strips, we now need to think about what's going to happen in your story. So then you need to flip over onto the planning template. There is no point in just writing a story and not having an idea. It's kind of like baking a cake without a recipe. Can't do it. So you need to come up with a title. Then you need to put in your setting and your characters and the mood. And then you need to come up with your complications, so the problem that happens, the events and climax. So how does it happen? What is the sequence of events for it to happen? And your resolution. How does the problem get fixed? Remember that you're doing a comic strip. This is not going to be a real in-depth story like in the past when you have done your your narrative writing and your books that you created last year. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a lot shorter. But we need to have this filled in so we know what our story is. So that's your task for Monday. That's it. On Tuesday, you have your spelling list with your word search that you just need to find the word, highlight it, cross it off the list. That's your spelling work. And then your English writing work, using your narrative planner that you did yesterday, you're going to write your short story. So you're going to write it in your English book, and then when you finish, you need to send through a photo to me. You need to think about how you will have your story evolve when you're putting it into your comic strip. So how would you have your characters drawn? What would they say? If you're going to have characters saying something in the comic strip, you need to have it saying it in your short story. You will basically be taking that short story over to your comic strip. You'll be using your short story as your narrator on your comic strip and go through it that way. Keep it short. Use lots of speeches between your characters. Don't bring in too many characters because you're going to get stuck trying to get them all into your boxes. And remember that narrator voice explains what's happening. Okay? And that is your Tuesday task. Wednesday. So we don't have any writing for Wednesday. We have our comprehension instead. We're looking at the Olympic Games and we are answering some questions from this task. So the Olympic Games, the ancient Olympics. The first ancient Olympic Games took place in Greece nearly 3,000 years ago in 776 BC. They were held in the religious sanctuary of Olympia, a rich land surrounded by olive trees. Initially, the ancient Olympics were organised as part of a religious festival to honour the leader of the Greek gods, Zeus. He was the god of the sky and lived on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. In 392 AD, the Olympic Games were suspended until 1500 years later. So that moves on to the modern Olympics. The modern Olympics in 1886, Pierre de Coubertin, a French educator and historian, believed that coming together to play sports would encourage peace amongst the world countries. He began the first modern Olympic Games in Athens in Greece in 1896. Pierre also designed the Olympic rings. Each colour of the rings represents the different continents. The modern Olympics is the largest sporting event held in the world. They are held every 4 years. Events and rewards. At the start of the ancient Olympics, only men who spoke Greek were allowed to participate. They ran short, straight 200-metre foot races, which were wide enough for 20 men to run at once. This was to keep them fit for the intensity of war. Eventually, other individual events were added to the ancient Olympics, but team events were only introduced at the start of the modern Olympics. During the ancient Olympics, there was only ever one winner who received a wreath of olives and a prize and a statue built in his honour. The olive leaves were taken from the sacred Olympia olive trees near the temple of the Greek god Zeus. Today, athletes are rewarded with gold, silver, and bronze medals for achieving first, second, or third when placed when competing in one of the 42 events. Women participation. During the ancient Olympics, women were not allowed to participate in the events, and married women were not allowed to attend the games at all. A separate event was held for women called Heraia, dedicated to the wife of Zeus. Women are able to attend the modern Olympics and participate in a range of sporting events. The Olympic torch. As part of the modern Olympic tradition, an Olympic torch is lit in Olympia. The flame is then passed on from torch to torch until it reaches the location of the games. During the opening ceremony, the flame from the torch is used to light a cauldron at the stadium of the host city to symbolise the start of the games and peace between countries. The cauldron stays alight for the duration of the games. So that is our comprehension, and now you just need to answer those 5 questions there that are on the side. Also, bonus points if you can tell me what's happened with the Olympic Games this week. Write it on the bottom of your page, send it through to me. Tell me what has happened in the news this week with the Olympic Games. Also, on your Wednesday, you need to do your rainbow words for each of your spelling words. So rewrite each of your spelling words in a different letter, in a different colour for each letter, and complete this in your English spelling book. On Thursday, you have two activities. One, you have a crossword. So using the clues below, you need to fill in the space there. So if you have 3 across, you need to find the number 3 and you need to find it going across. And a doing word, what is a word for a doing word? I will give you this one, it's a verb. So see the list on the right hand side, you'll cross verb off from there and you'd put it at 3 across. Then the letters all need to link for it to all make sense. Then you have your BTN comprehension. So logging on to the BTN website, you need to watch the video on reef bleaching and then you need to answer those 10 questions. You can answer them in your English book in proper sentences, meaning we shouldn't be able to know what the question is without having a look at the question. And lucky last is replacing your spelling test on a Friday. You need to write a sentence in your spelling book for each sentence, for each spelling word. You then need to underline that spelling word and then send it back through to Miss Fennell. Make sure that you have capital letters, full stops, punctuation, because that's what I will be looking at for you when I mark it for you. And that is your English work for this week. Please let me know if you have any questions.